I'm Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary, sometimes known as Puff the Magic Dragon, and I'm hiding the great face of Rabbi Doug. Watch him. Rabbi Doug. It's a wonderful show.
We're going to see Rabbi Doug. We're going to see Rabbi Doug. We're going to see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug. Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're going to see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom, and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We're here for part 2 of our visit with Charles and Margot Schlesinger, 2 people who were saved from the Holocaust by being on Schindler's List. They're here as they continue to tell us their tales. We're at Wilmette Junior High School. Mr. Jack Jacobson is the person who arranged this visit with them for us. So we hope you'll join us here and listen to Charles and Margot as they tell us of how they were saved on Taped with Rabbi Doug.
Finally, when the Jewish ordnungsman came to take out his wife and his mother, and my wife is going to come back the next time. And I said, I knew that he's not going to come back anymore. So I insisted that they should take this owner from this things with his wife, all the people, and I left with my brother. The bunker was behind the city hall, and during lunchtime, the city hall is quiet. So we were sitting there for several days. After the several days, I said to my brother, I have to go out. I covered up my arm well, and I said, I'm going to go see if mother's place is open. It was not too far away. If not, if I don't come back, you come after me. And that's the way we got out, because the Jewish policeman never came anymore. After this, we walked again from Aldrich. In 1943, there was another woman, also during the high holidays, another deportation is coming up. So we built another bunker with a full wall, with the opening up from a bathroom under the bathtub. The opening, and over there, we were 73 people there. There was a woman with 2 daughters. Her husband was a Canadian citizen. He was in Canada, and she had papers. If not for this bunker, she would never make it. Thanks to this bunker, she survived, and she got out, and she went to Canada. On September the 2nd, 1943, Amon Gett, the commandant from Plaszow, came to liquidate towns. So they came in, and 5 o'clock in the morning, they encircled all the ghettos, and the first thing they took out the A ghetto. All the A ghetto came out, and they sent them out straight to Auschwitz. My sister-in-law had a little girl, and she had 2 boys. The 2 boys were standing with us at mother's place, and Gett came, and he looked through, and he chased them out. They chased them out from one side, they came back to the other side. So finally, little time he says, if I catch you once more, so they sent them out to Auschwitz, and they never came back. There was 3. My brother survived with us, but he lost his wife and 3 children. The other families also disappeared. So anyway, it was on a Thursday, September the 2nd. We were standing on the upper Platz, the rest of us was supposed to go to Plaszow, standing until Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon, finally we got to the train. And we came to the train station. We got in 105 people in a cattle car. I had a neighbor, a dentist. His wife and his daughter went the first day to Auschwitz. He had a little boy, 4 years old, and he had him in a backpack on his bed and with sleeping pills. Friday afternoon, after 36 hours, finally he got him out from there because he thought he got him already in the train. And he woke him up, and we were still there. So the SS came before the train moved, and they pushed everybody on one side, and one by one. And he discovered this little boy. He took him out, and he took out another 31 or 32 children. And they took him away about a half a block away. He had the shots. When they pushed out, it was very hard. They pushed out the people. This little boy says, "Don't push me. I know I'm going to die."
We worked for Julius Madrich in Plaszow too. We worked for him, and Gert was he was the commander of the camp. He had two big dogs, this Gert. You saw it in the Schindler list. He was standing on his balcony and he was shooting left and right. I mean, he didn't even know who he was shooting or he wanted to shoot. He just was shooting with his dogs. They were going all around and were looking they were fighting people. It was just awful. And Mr. Madrich was like, he wanted to be a friend of his because he was afraid that he would do something to his people. Mr. Schindler was a friend of Mr. Madrich too. And Mr. Schindler had his people walking outside from the camp and bringing them every evening back. Then he had a pots and pans factory for the German army. So actually there were only like a few times together, Gert and Madrich, because he couldn't take Gert. He had all kinds of evening women there and parties, and Madrich was not that kind. Mr. Titsch, actually, who was the manager of Madrich, he knew me. I was working in the office there, and he said to me, Frau Schlesinger, warum sehen Sie so schlecht aus? I was very thin. And so he brought every week he brought a little package for us, a little bit of candies and a little bit of sugar. We still had some money left. We were hiding something, but we had it. So he brought us something to eat. It was just not much, but it was better than what we got in the camp.
When we arrived in Plaszow, we went to war. The camp in Plaszow was built on a Jewish cemetery. Before we came, they took out all the stones and they put it sidewalks. So we walked there. On Yom Kippur, on the way to war, we were chased fast to go by, and there was a hole. They had lined up 90 people naked, laying there, and they were standing out the machine guns, and the minute we passed by the whole group, they opened up the machine guns and they shot all these people. And then in May 1944, Dr. Mengele came. He was standing since 5 o'clock in the morning, waiting.
Naked.
By 8 o'clock in the morning, the women on one side naked, men on the other side, all undressed. And we were waiting. 8 o'clock, Mengele came, and with his uniform and a sheepskin coat on his shoulders, and they lined up tables with chairs. They were sitting there. He showed this side to this side. Whoever went to this side where the tables were, they were marked down the numbers. 2 days later, these people was called out and they sent out to Auschwitz. That was another day.
From Schindler's factory, there were some children still hidden, and there were some children still in Plaszow too left. So one day again, we were called to the assembly place. We knew already when we were called all down from the walking where we were, that something is going on. So we were standing on the assembly Platz, and like my husband said, a little bit higher up there was the way where we went to work every morning. The trucks came on the way where we went to work, and they took all these kids. They found all these kids and they were taken to Auschwitz, and they put on a loudspeaker with lullabies, good evening, good night, if God will, you will be waiting, in German. And the mothers wanted to run with the kids. They wanted to go and be shot or taken to Auschwitz. They didn't let anybody because they were higher up and we were standing on the assembly place. We were always counted. It was just unbelievable how many times like we would be made out of gold. They counted us. And when somebody was sick in the barrack, they had to come out to the assembly line, to the Appelplatz, and to be counted. So these kids were taken to Auschwitz to be gassed. Can you imagine? Yeah.
Not only sick, if somebody died during the daytime, when the afternoon was up, they have to take him out in order that they have to account again. But in the meantime, next to Plaszow was a little town named Wieliczka. Wieliczka was a salt mine. It was very famous in Poland. So every morning they took out a group of people, young people, and they took him to work there. And in the evening they brought him back to camp. One day, that was before they were talking about liquidating this camp, 6 boys decided they're going to run away. So they were hiding in this salt mines. And in the evening they thought that the soldiers would go with the rest of the group, they were going to run away. In the meantime, they didn't leave the camp. Were there, they called them for the dogs, and naturally they found them. So when they brought them back to the camp, they hung them. And the whole camp has to go by and see how they were hanged. And there were 2 brothers between the 6. A mother was in Plaszow, and she also has to go by and look how they were hanged.
Now the Russian army came towards Krakow now, and all the people who were in other camps, they were taken into Plaszow, to our camp. In order to make room for them, God decided that 8,000 women had to go to another camp. So I was among the 8,000 women too, because they took mostly the people from the working places too. And we were going towards the train station. A Jewish ordained man who liked me, and he wanted to save me from going to that transport because he knew what was going to happen to this transport. Anyhow, I worked with the mother of the Jewish Lagerälteste, of the Jewish guy, the commandant. There was a Jewish commandant she worked with me in the office and by Madrid. And she was taken out by her father, by this commandant. And another woman who was taken out, who was his sister-in-law. So I knew that this transport must be terrible. And so he said to me, Margot, stay in the back. Don't go so fast because they don't have enough room for the 8,000 women in the trains. And that's what I did. And it saved my life again because I came back to the camp, to Plaszow. And this transport was drowned in the Balkan Sea. It was called the Stutov camp. And since it was already the last of the war, they didn't even register them, they didn't identify them, they took them straight into the Balkan Sea, and with machine guns, they put them down into to be drowned. So I would have been among them, but I was very lucky to get back into the camp, because later on, Schindler, who had his people working, was a friend to Madrid. And he said to Madrid, when our camp was liquidated already in Plaszow, he said, you know what, how about if we both, Madrid and Schindler together, we make a munition factory in Czechoslovakia, in Brünnitz. So he said, no, I cannot do it anymore, I'm too tired, this Mr. Madrid. And Schindler himself went to Berlin, and he got the permission to open up a factory in Sudetenland, in Brünnitz, in Czechoslovakia. Now, Titch in Madrid, they wanted that some of his people, 60 people from his company, should go to Schindler. And Schindler said, okay, I take you, they were friends, I take your 60 people. And Mr. Titch came to me and he said, you know, I never told you to go on any transports, but this transport might be good. And Mr. Titch put me on the list, and I said, Mr. Titch, I have a husband and a brother in the camp too. I would like him to go to Czechoslovakia, to your company too. So he said, okay, he put my husband and my brother-in-law and me on the list, and some other very few people from Madrid. And that's the way. But instead of taking us to Czechoslovakia, it was 3 weeks after the men left before us. They went to Großrosen, another terrible camp. My husband will tell you about Großrosen.
And we came into Großrosen. Großrosen was a camp that was run by criminals, by German criminals. When we came in, first of all, they took us to Ramapelplatz, and we get undressed. After we got undressed, I had some rings for my wife, so I figured I'm going to hide them between the bricks over there, and when I come back, I'll get it back. I never came back to this place anymore. They had a latrine outside, and all these people, we were over 700 men, everybody has to go on this latrine, and the SS were walking around seeing if somebody throws away some diamonds or some whatever. And then from there they took us to another place. We were shaved by Ukrainians. They not shaved, they were scratched off our hair. And then they took us to a shower. The shower was, first of all, they had detergents outside, barrels of detergents. We had to rub our bodies. And then we go in, they didn't have too much water. And after this, we went outside. We have to wait for 100 people, not less than 100 people, to go to the bar. In the meantime, that was in October. It was very cold night. Everything was during the night. And it was very cold, and he was standing naked. Finally, we got into the bar. They gave us a paper suit, a jacket, with a pair of pants, made out of paper, because I pulled out the thread and I opened up, there was newspaper. And he gave us a nightgown and a pair of shoes. One was this child's shoe, now a bigger one. So, and if you open up your mouth, right away they hit you. So I said, I cannot wear this, too small. So finally he says, tie this together, and he gave me another pair of shoes. The other one was open, sole, but it was at least I could pull it down. And then they took us into a room which could hold the most 200, 250 people. We were 700 people sitting, one between the legs to the other one, in lines like this all night. And that's the way we slept, and that's the way in the morning we got out, you have to get some soup. So they had 50 bowls of soup for the whole group. And the couples were standing there with the right things, and they hit it right away. You have to take the soup and bring it out and hand it over the bowl to the next one. That's the way. Finally one day, they took us to the train, and we got into this, so we went to Greenland.
3 weeks later, I told you I was still in Plaszow, and the camp in Plaszow, and they liquidated the whole camp. Everybody had to go, so they took everybody to Auschwitz. Instead of taking the 300 women to Grünitz, they took us to Auschwitz too. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and we came to Auschwitz, a big sign, Arbeit macht frei. And the German, they had women, 2 SS women, and they were screaming, aus, fast. Everything had to be very fast that you could not even think what you should do the next moment, to run away, there was no way to run away. Here we could not hide anymore, there was nothing to hide. So we came into a it was a big hall, and we were sitting there, and the Jewish capo men, we had to undress, and the Jewish capo men, they were running around and taking we were naked, of course, we had to take everything off our clothes, which we still had in Plaszow, we were still dressed like people. And there we came in, and the Jewish capos, they had to take all these things away from us. And I said, what are you going to do with us? We are Schindlers. So he said, you're in the wrong place. They knew what was going to happen to everybody. So they took us to the shower. And the 300 women, somehow, we got to the shower separate. I didn't know why, but we did. And we came in, and we were looking around. There was no water coming out. We knew exactly what would happen. The ovens were burning day and night. It was just impossible to look. You saw even little things coming out from the chimney there, from the ovens. And oh my goodness, I didn't know what to do anymore. We were standing there in line again after that the next morning. Yeah, finally, we said goodbye to each other. We knew we will be gassed. But thank God, a little bit of water came out. You saw it in the Schindler list. Exactly, that's the way it was. We were hugging each other, kissing each other, and saying goodbye to each other. But then somehow a little water came out. And when we saw the water come out, we were already relieved. We knew. We had to dress very, very quick. They gave us terrible things to wear. Holland's shoes, the wooden shoes, which we couldn't even walk in. But I got a pair of men's shoes. He somehow gave me a pair of men's shoes. They were very big, but I was happy that I had not the wooden shoes. And so the next morning, Mr. Mengele came. Dr. Mengele, the angel of death, he was called. He came and he made a selection. He took 3 women right from our 300 women out. Now, I worked with a woman together in the office. She had a daughter. She was 15 years old, a tiny girl. I wasn't much older, but I was 24, 25. So anyhow, this little girl was coming out in front. And so she told me the mother was the third one. And we were always in fifths. You know, we always had to be in fifths in order to be counted. So the mother said to me, Margot, do me a favor, and you go in front and Lucia comes in the second. And when Dr. Mengele saw me switching, he took me to the gas chamber where the three women were already. The women were maybe by 45 years old, the women he took out, but they looked a little bit frail. So he won. But I said in German to him, I spoke good German, I said to him, ich bin jung and I can walk here and I'm not sick. I just got very frightened when I did the wrong thing, I changed. So there was another guy with him, he said, go back. It saved my life again. Otherwise I would have been in the oven already. So anyhow, and then we were always like in the barracks and not now when we will go out from Auschwitz. Mr. Schindler, he went to Auschwitz, he came to Auschwitz and he talked to Hess, to the commandant, and he said, I would like to have my 300 women out. And this guy said, are you kidding? And he put some diamonds, exactly that's the way it happened in the movie. He took some diamonds and bribed him on the table. And he said, don't be foolish. There's another, the transports are coming in day and night. There's another transport coming in from Hungary. You get the 300 women you get from Hungary. They're young and they can do for you whatever you want them to do. He said, I want my 300 women back. And somehow he took the diamonds and he agreed on giving them us back. We always were counted, we had numbers only. We didn't have any names. They didn't take us by names. They never counted us by names. Finally, one day, the political leader came from the camp and he called us by name. And my name was called too, among the 297 women. I knew that there was a cousin of mine. She was supposed to be a cousin of mine. She was engaged to a cousin of mine from Tarnów. And her whole family was from Tarnów, which was just on the border between Poland and Germany. And her whole family came there 2 or 3 years ago already, right away when Auschwitz was opened up. And they were all gassed. She was the only one left. And so she said, Margot, I want to go with your transport wherever you're going. And I told the political leader in German, I found a cousin here. Not that I knew that for sure I will be saved. I said, I would like her to go with me to Prunitz, to Czechoslovakia. He said, okay. He put her on the list too. And she survived the Holocaust. But she was so emotionally harmed that she never wanted to know what her past was. She had 2 children after the war, a son and a daughter, and between the son and the daughter there are 13 grandchildren. But she did not want to know about her past at all. She never talked about it, not even to her children. Actually, the children lived in Chicago, and her son, if I would mention the name, you would know him too. The son said to me, why don't you tell my mother she can talk now to us? She never wanted to do. But she stayed alive, and like I said, they have 13 grandchildren. They're both passed now away. She passed away, her husband passed away. But the children and the grandchildren are still alive. So I'm very happy that at least in our Jewish tradition they say, if you save one life, you save the world entire. So I'm proud about that. She's still saved and stayed alive.
In January 1945, transport from Malutuk Camp Golashow was ungrounded with 90 people. Every station they stopped, nobody accepted them. So finally they came to Brillis, and Schindler says he's going to accept them. So we went to open up the trains, the cars were frozen. There was 6 weeks on the road. Finally we put some fire under the cars, and we opened up a little bit, we opened up the doors. When we opened up the doors, the people were laying on top of each other. most of them were dead. A lot of them, almost nobody had more than 70 pounds, weighed more than 70 pounds. Finally, we took him apart hardly, we took him on stretchers, and Mrs. Schindler went to town, and whatever she could get on the black market from medicine, she bought, and some of them survived, but the rest of them were buried. Schindler bought a little place there, and he made a little cemetery for them. So that's it.
The 8th of May in 1945, a Russian soldier came into our camp, and he said, and he came on a horse, and he said, "You are free, but don't go out from the camp, because if you do, the Germans are running away, and they take some uniforms from the prisoners, and you don't know who they are, what they are, and there's shooting going on. Stay in the camp and wait till we tell, and don't take revenge. There will be justice done to the people who did you wrong." And I could not stay in the camp. I wanted to see whether there was a world outside. I wanted to see the sun. I went out from the camp just by the door. A German woman came to me. She lived next door. And our camp, there was like a sign not to go close to us because we are criminals. And she said to me, "You don't look like a criminal to me. Would you like to move into my apartment, to my house?" And I said, "You're German. I have to ask my husband, and I have to ask my brother-in-law. I have them in the camp too." And then I went into the camp and I said, "Would you like to go to this apartment?" My husband said, "Why not?" We came into this apartment. She opened up her kitchen. Miraculous. Everything was clean and so beautiful and so full of, they had marmalade and everything. She made homemade and everything. And before we left, this factory we worked was a Jewish owner, and he had materials. It was a factory of materials. And before Schindler left, he said every prisoner should get some merchandise, some materials. So we got some materials. Every woman got a coupon for one blouse and for one skirt, and the men got something too. She had a sewing machine, and she said, "You can do anything you want in my house. It's yours now. You can stay with us as long as you want." And I went to the machine, to the sewing machine. I made myself a blouse and a skirt, and I looked like a person.
Thanks for joining us here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Margot and Charles Schlesinger will be with us once again next time for part 3 of their visit with us, as they tell us about how they were saved by Oscar Schindler for being on Schindler's List and saved from the Holocaust. We hope you'll be with us too at our next show for part 3 here on Taped with Rabbi Doug.
To sleep. I'm the guest announcer here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Stay tuned, there's more to come.